Hello, and welcome to another episode of the History of Comic Books podcast, The Battle for Superman. One of the greatest battles over Superman actually took place off the page between his creators and his company they sold him to. It wasn't long before Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster started to feel they made a mistake signing away the rights to Superman for just $130 to National. In fact, Erwin Donenfeld swears he once remembered Siegel and his wife Bella protesting outside their house at one point. However, for Harry Donenfeld and Jack Leibowitz, the owners of National, they felt Siegel and Shuster were just being ungrateful. National paid the highest rates of any comic book publisher at the time, along with helping out off the books, such as paying for Joe Shuster's eye surgery. It's true that Siegel and Shuster were doing quite well for themselves, with Siegel owning both an apartment in New York and a home in University Heights where his wife and son lived, while Shuster was able to afford to support his whole family while paying for a studio of ghost artists to cover his failing eyesight. By national records, they were paid $100,000 a year from 1938 to 1946, the equivalent of $5 million today over that period, which even by today's standards, that's pretty good for a comic book artist and writer. However, things were still getting hostile at the offices, especially when Siegel returned to work after completing his military service during World War II and expected to go back to full-time as the main writer for Superman. Editor Mort Weisinger did assign him scripts, but also to Don Cameron Alvin Schwartz, who got more, and as a result, Siegel got even angrier, with Weisinger at one point even claiming Siegel had threatened him and would have him frisked for weapons by a security guard when he came to work. By 1946, sales had dropped, putting more pressure on Siegel and Shuster, who were beginning to seek allies in their fight against National. They sought out Charles Gaines, who originally offered support due to their own personal grievances with National, but backed off when their stories didn't line up. Next, they tried Bob Kane, who instead went to Jack Leibowitz for a counteroffer. When Leibowitz said he was under contract, Kane countered by claiming he was 17 when he signed it. Keep in mind, this is an era of poor records for immigrant families, especially on what days they were born, though later research does indicate that Kane was probably well over 18 when he did sign with National. Nevertheless, Leibowitz wasn't taking any chances. Thus, Kane got a new contract granting him partial ownership of Batman, along with the right to veto any sale of the character, higher page rates, and subsidiary rights. In return, Kane was now in National's pocket. Despite this, Siegel and Shuster's lawyer, Albert Zugsmith, filed a lawsuit against National Comics Publications in April 1947 for $5 million in the rights to Superman. While this was happening, Siegel's marriage was falling apart when he had reunited with Joanne Kovacs, now Joanne Carter after her own failed marriage. They quickly rekindled their relationship, resulting in Siegel filing for a divorce from his wife on July 19, 1948, which granted in October. He quickly married Joanne soon afterwards. National hired one of the best copyright lawyers in the country, Horace Mangus, and on May 1948, the court sided with National on all except the rights to Superboy, something that would resurface later. Zugsmith told Siegel and Shuster they should settle for $100,000, the equivalent of 1 year's salary at National, instead of appealing. As a result, Shuster couldn't support his studio and dissolved and would later work in the black market pornographic art, such as The Nights of Horror, which was circulated in 1954. Zugsmith got a job as a movie producer, working on such films as Invasion of the USA, Touch of Evil, and The Incredible Shrinking Man. It was always strange how he got paid off for such a job. It was always strange how he got the money for such a job, leading to Joe Shuster to speculate decades later that Leibowitz paid him off. Meanwhile, Jerry Siegel was trying to make ends meet, working at Marvel at one time, where he gave the Human Torch's hometown the name Glenville after his own, and even Archie. Then, he quietly started working with National again on Superman in 1959, thanks to Joanne browbeating the company, working to help revive the character during the Silver Age. By 1966, the first term of Superman's copyright expired again, which resulted in Siegel once again filing a lawsuit and National firing him. However, other factors soon came into play when the movie rights were purchased by the Salkinds in 1974 for an enormous sum, and Warner Communications, seeing a huge franchise in the future, tried to get the lawsuit settled. Its head, Jay Emmett, offered Siegel and Shuster an annual stipend, but was never delivered on. Then Siegel went to San Diego Comic-Con in 1975, and after giving a speech detailing his struggle, the fans encouraged him to fight. Soon, Siegel gave a press release about the history of the lawsuit after hearing about the deal that National made for $3 million in the film in Variety, with Shuster soon joining in, including being interviewed on The Tomorrow Show with Tom Snyder. They also got a great ally in Jerry Robinson, the former Batman artist and co-creator of the Joker, who now made a career as a political cartoonist. Robinson helped get both of them helped get both of them to help the Writers Guild of America and the Screen Cartoonists Guild, and involved in the campaign for Siegel and Shuster, while Neal Adams, Kurt Vonnegut, and Norman Mailer helped out as well. Feeling the pressure, Warner Brothers offered $10,000 a year to Siegel and Shuster in December 1975, but Robertson urged them not to take it, countering for $15,000 a year and creative credit for all products. This created a complication, as while it's easy to put their name on printing materials, toys and other merchandise were another story. Finally, on December 1975, they settled for $20,000 a year and created credit for all printing works, which would include the movie. In December of 1978, Superman the movie premiered, with the Siegels and Joe Shuster in attendance, and they got to see their names credited with his own creation. While no doubt an emotional, considering all that was involved up to this point, Siegel reportedly left the movie in tears of the movie, stating it was everything he ever hoped for. Meanwhile, the yearly stipend kept going up, thanks to Joanne's consistent complaining, with it eventually reaching $100,000 a year. So much so, Shuster finally got married, though he quickly divorced soon afterwards, and then died on July 30th, 1992 from a heart attack. On June 28th, 1996, Jerry Siegel died as well. However, his widow, Joanne, wasn't quite done with DC, as she was sued from a new lawsuit under the new U.S. copyright law in 1997, which granted provision for creators to reclaim their rights. In 2001, DC claimed they had reached a settlement agreement, but talks broke down in 2002, and the Siegels filed a lawsuit in the U.S. District Court of California for half the rights to Superboy, who they claim was never part of any previous agreement. On March 23, 2006, Judge Liu rewarded the copyright to the Siegels, but the trademarks stayed with Time Warner, essentially splitting the baby and no one could profit from it. As a result, neither side could benefit from the Superboy character, which caused a complication for the Smallville series that was released on the WB network. For anyone wondering why he was never called Superboy in the series or ever wore the costume, it wasn't just a creative mandate, it was a legal one as well. In addition, Superboy's name and likeness was erased from DC comic books for this period of time. On March 26, the courts went further and awarded the rights to Action Comics #1 to the Siegels, including all plots containing from his Krypton story onward. However, on January 2013, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that the District Court erred in the ruling that the 2001 agreement that covered the rights of Superman and Superboy was not an error, and thus remanded it back to DC. As a result, the District Court then ruled that DC did own all the rights to the character, and ironically, 2 years after Smallville went off the air in 2011. As of today, all appeals by the Siegel and Shuster families have since been rejected, and Superman remains firmly in the DC hands. And that was the battle for Superman, a legal battle that will be fought time and again between comic book creators and the comic companies over their creation. Thankfully, both sides seem to have learned from this, as it's now standard policy with DC and Marvel, along with most other companies, to reward royalties and creator credit, while creators have found new avenues to retain ownership such independent works. Hopefully, it's a lesson they will continue to learn, as these kind of battles can leave us fans like us out of the loop, who just want to read and enjoy these characters. And now it is July 5th, 2018, time for the favorite comic book of the week. Batman number 50 by Tom King and Michael Janin, which brings the big wedding date between Batman and Catwoman together. Tom King does a brilliant job flashbacking throughout their entire love affair, showing just how much they truly are perfect for each other, if any comic book characters there ever were. While Michael Janin delivering the regular art throughout the book, but gets some fantastic support by numerous greats from Neal Adams to Frank Miller, who all deliver one-page splashes at different points in Batman and Catwoman's past lives. Just to really illustrate how great they work together, and also what makes ultimately happens that much more heartbreaking. This is a fantastic book that's been culminating for a few years now, and after reading it, you'll, especially with that cliffhanger, you will definitely can't wait to see what happens next. Just a great read by Tom King, and this is easily becoming one of the best runs of Batman in quite some time. Definitely pick it up. And with that, thank you for listening again, and next week we're going to do a little brief and rambling history of DC Comics itself. Outside of that, thank you for listening, and go out and enjoy the comic book.